We begin tonight with that horrific attack today in downtown Toronto. A driver barreling down a crowded street in a van and appearing to aim for pedestrians. That van coming to a halt on a sidewalk, but not until after so many had been struck and killed. A trail of the injured along the street, too, more than a dozen hurt. Then the confrontation between the driver and police playing out in broad daylight. Tonight, that suspect is now in custody. His identity just released. And ABC's Tom Yamas leads us off from Toronto tonight.
Tonight, the race to save lives after the deadly van attack. At least 10 dead and more than a dozen wounded after a driver in this white van jumped the curb, plowing through pedestrians on a major street in Toronto.
Vehicle. Personal injury, intersection of Yonge Street and Finch Avenue.
It was lunchtime, just before 1:30 p.m. The van, driving 16 blocks, nearly a mile and a half, ramming into people again and again.
He just went on the sidewalk. He just started hitting everybody, man. He hit every single person on the sidewalk. Anybody in his way, he would hit. The bus stop, everything got shattered. There was a lady in there that I saw. I just stopped and I looked and I went after it again. All I see is just crumbling up one by one.
Eyewitnesses describing a scene of pure panic.
Everyone started running and screaming, and he hit this one lady and she went flying. Then he hit another lady. I didn't see because I was running at that point, but you could hear them like dropping.
Police finally cornering the van. Investigators are now scouring the video of the standoff that came next. The driver pulling an object from his pocket, pointing it at an officer, staring him down with this warning. And as police try to reason with him, the driver with a plea. That didn't happen. The officer took him down, handcuffing him on the pavement. Officers taking him into custody. With this unfolding, swarms of first responders racing to the scene, finding multiple victims already being triaged by Good Samaritans.
There was 4 bodies on the ground. Police and the ambulance hadn't arrived yet, but people were trying to revive them.
A grim scene, victims lying all over the street, bodies covered with orange tarps, shoes left abandoned in the middle of the street, the injured loaded onto stretchers and raced to nearby hospitals.
Right now, we have under arrest Alex Manassian, age 25.
Tonight, police still searching for a motive behind the mayhem.
So let's get right to Tom Yamas with us live tonight from Toronto. And Tom, authorities believe that this was deliberate. They're now calling it an attack.
David, Canadian officials are calling this a horrific attack, and we've also learned the name of the alleged driver who was behind the wheel, 25-year-old Alex Manassian. He's from the Richmond Hill section of Toronto, and officials are telling us he chose his killing field as one of the busiest streets in this entire country. That's why there were so many victims, but also why there were so many surveillance cameras that captured this, along with eyewitnesses. David?
They're pouring through all that video at this hour. Tom Yamas leading us off tonight. Tom, our thanks to you. There's also heightened alert right here at home tonight. The NYPD saying they've now deployed more counter-terror officers on the streets of New York City late today. ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas with us live tonight from Washington. And Pierre, what have you learned from your sources about the suspect?
David, our sources say Alex Manassian is from the Toronto area, and while they believe this was an intentional act, they're still sorting out whether this was terrorism. These kinds of vehicle attacks have become a preferred method among terrorists around the world. More than 100 people have been killed and more than 500 injured in these kinds of attacks since 2016. That's why you're seeing cities put more and more barriers up to try to protect pedestrians. David?
Just a horrific scene north of the border. Pierre Thomas, our thanks to you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.